Hello and welcome back to Mark's House and Garden UK, where I'm creating an olive grove and citrus garden. And I've bought 3 very large olive trees from Costco. These were £400 each, and I've seen similar trees for £1,500 in my nearby garden centre. So I bought 3 of them, 3 for the price of 1. And I got a man with a van to bring them home for me. Jagger movers were absolutely brilliant. So if ever you've got any concerns about bringing a big plant home, just Google man with a van, or better still, ring Jagger movers because he works all over the UK. Lowered the olive trees into place onto my lawn and used planks of wood to help reduce the friction and slide them down, and it wasn't long before the 3 of us manhandled 3 olive trees into place. And again, can't recommend Jagger movers highly enough. Very easy to work with, very helpful. So there's the 3 olives in situ and now waiting to be planted. So that's the next challenge, how I'm going to get these 3 olives planted. Well, use some marker paint, weigh up the site, do some loose measurements. One stride is approximately 1 metre. Find the centre and then weigh it up. I'll have one over there, one there, and one in the centre. So really it is just doing it by eye and deciding where I want them. So we'll have one there, little white dot on the floor, and we'll have one here. Now I did have a look from the house as well, because I want to make the most of these from the kitchen window. Piece of string, you can probably guess what's coming next. Stick my fork on a white dot, put the string on, and very easily mark a circle. Now these circles are approximately the same circumference or diameter as the olive tree bush, and I'm going to be removing some of the grass, but not all of the grass. Now my idea is to plant these into shallow pits. You can see there the spades represent where the olive trees are going to be. So they're going to be in shallow pits, and I'm doing that for several reasons. I want to retain the height. I want to be able to see the trunk. I also want to be able to see the bush. And also by elevating them above ground level, it will help with drainage. If you know anything about olives and Mediterranean type plants, which are used to living in very well drained, gritty, dry soil, they like good drainage. So by elevating them a little bit above the ground, I'm going to help with the drainage. So there we go. I'm now proceeding with digging the pits. And these pits are about 1 metre in diameter, quite shallow, and with sloping sides. And whenever I'm digging in the garden, I will always find something like this mealybug, which I will throw into the hedgerow. It's food for the robins. Look at the robins there scrapping, very territorial. And here's a little acorn I found buried by a squirrel. Sprinkle of slow release and work it in, and then rake it over. I want it to be a firm level base, so that eventually when these olive trees get lowered in position, it will be flat and level. I've also put some nutrition underneath, just making sure that the holes are wide enough to receive the pots. The fun is about to start, because you're about to see just how I managed to get those huge olive trees out of their tubs and into the ground. So watch this space. Now the really important thing for me at all costs is to protect the trunks. I don't want any damage done to the trunks. I don't really want any damage done to the foliage. Well, that will grow back, but I've bought these olive trees because of those lovely old gnarled ancient trunks, so I'm protecting them here with a continental quilt. And here comes the cavalry. This is Alistair, a local farmer, with his tractor, and very scary spikes. But those spikes are about to come in handy. So after a short conversation and briefing, we have a plan. And my neighbour Rod is also about to turn up to help. So again, we'll wrap the trunk with the continental quilt, and then we will attach a strap quite tightly so it doesn't slip, because any slip might damage the bark. And then, as you will see in a moment, we will attach a loop, and guess what's coming? We will wait with bated breath, fear and trepidation to see if this is actually going to work. The plan is to feed one of those spikes through a loop on the strap and then very gently lift it up. We both stand well clear. Rod approaches and puts the strap over the spike, and the moment of truth is drawing ever closer, and the tractor very, very carefully and gingerly moves into position. So here we go. I also want to try and keep the tubs. So lift and up it goes, and very, very slowly you can see one olive tree levitating up into the air there, and happily the tub has just dropped off from beneath, so I can use those for another garden project. Now, I gave Alistair permission to do any damage what he wanted to the lawn, just so long as the olive trees don't get damaged, and to be fair, he's taking very great care not to damage the grass. And in it goes. There you can see the very shallow pit, and you can see that the surface of the soil for the olive tree is about a foot above ground level. So there's going to be quite a bit of digging to come, because I've got to fill those gaps now with soil from around the garden. So there's one in situ, one down, 2 to go, and it won't be long before we have all 3 olive trees very safely in place. Bit of a team effort this, and I have to say, really do appreciate the help that we got from Alistair and Rod, my next door neighbour. And you'll see there's the strap. Very, very carefully putting the strap over the spike. And now move out of the way, Rod, because that spike's heading in your direction. And up it goes. I love it when a plan comes together. I have to say, I did lose a bit of sleep over these, because I didn't really know how I was going to attempt this. And my next door neighbour Mark and Rod came up with this plan. Protect the trunk, attach a strap, get the farmer in and lift. And it's worked a treat, like clockwork. Look at that. And again, in it comes. I've spaced these out quite evenly so that I can sit on a bench at the hedge at the back, and kind of they're equidistant from me, and I can sit and kind of admire them. And you can see me directing. Actually not doing much, because Alistair knew what he was doing, and I'm just giving it a bit of a nudge to get it into the centre of the hole, and down it goes, and away goes the tractor. I'm just protecting myself from those spikes, which are lethal. Gosh, I wouldn't want to have an argument with one of those spikes. We're nearly there now, and the digging can commence. But you can see here the strap going round, and eventually you will see a bit of ratchet action there. You can see tight, nice and tight, and then in it goes. This is the 3rd of the 3 olive trees being brought down into place. So don't forget, with olives, they love drainage, they love light, they don't want to be overwatered. I would let these dry out completely between watering them. A little bit more advice on watering at the end of this video, because I've come up with an innovative plan to make sure these get well watered for the first few months while they get established and settled in. This is a short, chunky one here. Each of these olive trees has its own little individual characteristics. Bit of tidying, remove the continental quilts, and say thank you to Rod and Alistair. Buy Alistair a drink. Thanks, guys. Couldn't have done it without you, obviously. And away goes the tractor, and now it's my turn to do some work as I start digging. Now I'm digging a little fish pool, so that will give me quite a lot of soil to put around these. But whilst I'm digging and whilst these are waiting to be buried, it's important that I keep the root balls damp. So I've positioned my hose pipe. Now it turned out to be quite a sunny day, so I put these 2 boards in place just to keep the root ball out of direct sunlight. Now these have been in these pots for some time and they've got great roots, but the roots are growing around in circles, so I'm just using my grubbing hoe to hack away just to release the roots and get them pointing outwards so they can go in search of new sustenance and food from the surrounding soil. Keeping them wet, keeping them nicely soaked for now, whilst I start digging out some soil. That's a trommel, by the way. It's like a big electric sieve, and it takes the rocks out. And I did intend sieving all the soil, but in the end, the soil turned out to be very reasonable quality and it didn't have many rocks or stones, so I abandoned the trommel and just carried on digging. It took about 40 barrow loads of soil to do all 3, and here you can see a couple going in. That olive tree was quite level, but this one wasn't, so I had to do a little bit of adjustment. Propped it up with a stake there, and then weighed it up, had a look at it from a distance, from several different angles, just to make sure that it was vertical. Not quite vertical, so this needs another stake on another side. And then once it's vertical, and sort of to my approval, if you like, I will then go beneath it with my grubbing hoe and I will impact soil to underpin it so that there's no air gaps. I don't want any air gaps underneath. I want the roots to be in contact with soil so that they can grow down. If there's an air gap, they will dry out basically. So here you can see me again using the grubbing hoe. That's an amazing tool, that grubbing hoe. I'll put the link to that in the description box below this video, along with links to all my other tools that I use on a regular basis. They're paid links. If you buy anything through Amazon, I do get paid a small commission. So thank you. In goes the soil, and we're nearly there. You can see the 2 in the background, which I've already mounded up. And really, it's just a question of doing this 3rd one. Getting quite late in the day now, and there are storm clouds on the horizon. And this is my watering idea. I want water to go down towards the roots and not run off and not bring the soil off. So I'm sinking these terracotta pots into the soil, 3 around each, and then I can just use a bucket, fill them up, and that water just soaks straight into the soil down to where the roots are, and I will keep these olives very well watered for the first 6 months whilst they get established. You can see there it's very slowly and gently soaking down. It's not running off, it's going where I need it. I've had an idea, by the way. These mounds, they really do lend themselves, I think, to some wildflower seeds. Look at that, beautiful, isn't it? A final view of the olive grove, which will also have citrus plants in it. It's going to be covered in gravel, and there will be a water feature and a rill. And the storm is approaching, so just in time I've finished for the day, and we'll have one final look at the olive tree, and you will see the rain starting any moment. I'll see you soon for some olive grove and citrus garden adventures. Here comes the rain. Bye for now.